Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. This is the video you guys wait for. It's the video best bets. We've got not one, but three video best bets from the panel. I'm joined by Preston Sports Cheetah, Bryan Leonard, and yours truly, Marco D'Angelo. Guys, Sweet 16, we're going to break down three best bets. Actually, two games. We got two best bets in the same game. Different plays, not different sides. We'll get to that in a moment. But we're going to start with you, Bryan. You've got a best bet on Syracuse. Sweet 16, Syracuse, who would have thunk it? This is a team that wasn't even supposed to be here. How did they get into the tournament?
We knew one of these teams, either Tulsa, Syracuse, or there was another team that people were complaining they shouldn't have been in, would do well in this tournament. Obviously, Syracuse has done it, and they've done it with defense. They played great defense as of late. Keep in mind, Boeheim was suspended at the beginning of the season. Since he's been back, they've been a little bit better. This is a great defensive team, and nobody likes to play Syracuse and the way they play defense when it's come tournament time, especially when you don't see it very often. They only allowed 64.8 points per game on the season, and in the playoffs so far, in the Big Dance, 50.5 points per game. Now, Gonzaga also plays great defense, and I'll be totally honest with you, I didn't think much of this Gonzaga team coming in here. I thought they'd get knocked off in the first round, but they've done very well since. So we've got a nice 10-11 spot here that's going to make it to the Elite Eight, which we always like, something like that. And, you know, this is a team in Syracuse, plays great defense. They've been here before. How many times has the coach been in this situation? Yeah. I like that as a dog. I think the line's a little bit overflated. I thought it was going to be about 2. And we're catching it at 4.5 right now. So I'm going to take the points here at Syracuse.
Well, Preston, we always talk about looking for value. And as far as value goes right now, because everybody was so down on Syracuse coming into the tournament, and then what Gonzaga's done in the first two rounds, I mean, they have been ultra impressive. I was on them in the first one against Seton Hall. I think they played in the first one. And then, unfortunately, I went against them with Utah. And I know Utah Utah is dead to me, okay? Yeah. They're done. They're out of the tournament, thank God. But the last two games that I've used Utah have not been kind. But really, Gonzaga can't look any better than they have right now. Their stock is at the ultimate high. But this is a team that is peaking at the right time. We talked about it on the podcast with Scott. This team was getting better by the week as the season went on.
Absolutely, and I think I agree with Bryan, and I disagree with Bryan. Mm-hmm. I agree in that the number is inflated. When I lined it, I had it at 3 or 3.5. I know Ken Palm is 2 or 2.5. Someone tweeted it. Bryan said that's about where his number is. So getting 4.5 is value in the numbers perspective. I want to look at a couple things. One is they did play a Dayton team that doesn't shoot well from the outside. When they only give up 50 points in those first two rounds, that was a great matchup. I was on Syracuse in that game. I thought they had a perfect spot to back them, especially with all the media hate they were getting as well. Then the next round, they got a team, Middle Tennessee State, that just beat Sparty. They shot 100% from the field in the first round. Mm-hmm. So naturally, and it's hard to prep for that 2-3 zone on one day in between games.
I agree.
So they shot really cold. So the numbers are a little skewy in that Syracuse is only giving up 50 a game. Gonzaga, on the flip side, you know what teams do a lot, having extra time here to prep for the 2-3 zone, I think does favor Gonzaga and Mark Few a little bit. What teams do is when you're trying to beat a 2-3 zone, rather than just shoot a bunch of threes, you want to get the ball into the high post. And from there, your big man needs to make a play. What a lot of teams do once they get there, the big man has to drive and try to dunk or lay it up or make another pass. And most of the time, they end up swinging it back out to the wing for a 3. Gonzaga has Wilcher and Sabonis, two of the best big men in the entire nation. They can all just shoot the 15-footer from the high post. And Syracuse doesn't really have that in the ACC that they've played up against most of the time, where they have to defend that high post just jump shot that they'll hit 6-7 times out of 10. So I think Gonzaga, the X's and O's of this matchup, it totally favors the Zags. I'm not betting the game because the number is inflated, so I'm not going to bet an inflated number. But if I had to pick who's going to win, I think Gonzaga wins pretty often. So
I fully understand that. That's some of the things I was looking at too, because they've got two of the best big men in basketball. But also, and I hate to make a judgment off of 2 games, but which conference has dominated the tournament so far?
The ACC's been.
And the WCC's undefeated, though.
They are undefeated.
And BYU's in the Final Four of the
sample
NIT.
size of 2, the same team.
Right. And then, they struggled against St. Mary's, but would get knocked out of the NIT.
A comment like that would get you trolled on Twitter. You know that.
At this point, they know I was just joking.
I know.
No, you don't. They all, it's so obvious to us, but not to them.
I was making a joke with that. But But I can see your point, Bryan. If I had to play this one, I probably would have to look at the points the way it is. Now, we'll see what the market does maybe come game day, if it changes it any. But Syracuse, they're definitely playing with a chip on their shoulder. And Boeheim, he'd like to, stick it to the NCAA. They gave him the suspension early on.
True.
Moving on to the next game. We're both on the same game. You're on the side. I'm on a total. I'll let you start it. We're going to look at Oregon and Duke. Sweet 16 matchup, and Duke, they struggled down the stretch a little. Then they had a couple games where, they had a big lead in their conference tournament against Notre Dame, choked that away. I remember that game well, unfortunately. And then had a big lead on, would they play Saturday against Yale? And then Yale come storming back and made a game of it. What do you make of this Duke team?
I don't make much of them. I'm on Oregon. I played the 2.5. I think 3 is fine where it's at now as we're shooting this video. I played against Duke in the first game against Wilmington and got there despite Duke getting 44 free throw attempts.
Yeah.
And in the second game, they had to shoot. They were like 9 of 12 from 3, and they played a perfect first half. And they were up 20. And despite that, they still kind of got lucky at the end to cover, and the game was in question even. I think they were only up 3 points with about a minute left. And that was because Yale, for one, Duke started missing shots. They weren't going to shoot 75% from 3 all game, but Yale also made some adjustments and started doing a kind of a half, 3/4 court press zone trap thing, and Duke got bothered by it. And I just think that they're a team that defensively isn't very good because Yale started scoring inside and got a ton of dunks and lay-ins and got to the free throw line quite a bit. And that, Wilmington put up 80-something on them as well. And if they're not shooting the 3 ball extraordinarily well, they're very, very susceptible to being beat. And I like this fact that Oregon kind of got their scare already. They were down 7 late to St. Joe's, 5 or 6 minutes left. They came back, got the win. I think you're going to get it, the A game from Oregon against a Duke squad that I think just relies too much on Allen being hot from 3 or Ingram being hot from 3. So I like Oregon. I think they're going to win the game and win the region still. Kind of was my pick before the tournament as well. And I'm taking the, under the 3 betters is my best bet. And I should say it's not technically my best bet for the week. I've bet 2 games. This one and my other one's my 5% play that I have at Wager Talk. So this is my second best bet, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's the title of last night we said it's the radio best bet for the Beat Vegas podcast. It's the video best bet here. But if you want my actual best bet, you can go get it at Wager Talk.
All right, and I agree with your take on Duke as far as the defense, and that's why I'm here with the over on this one. I think we're getting a little bit of a benefit of the line because of the scores last week. St. Joe's in Oregon was a low-scoring game, but that's what St. Joe's does to you. That's what they want to do. They want to slow you down, get you into that half-court game, take you out of your comfort zone. In Duke, they were able to hide their defensive inefficiencies the last 2 games because they played teams that they totally outman. They're not going to outman Oregon. This is a very athletic ball club. And if you take those last 2 games away from Duke, where they were the far superior team, the last 7 games, they've allowed 50% or better shooting against them in 5 of the last 7 games. Oregon's going to go up and down the floor on them. And we know Duke likes to shoot the 3. And they're not a team that wants to get into a half-court game to set up the 3. They're best at whenever they're spacing the floor, running the floor, kicking it out to the open guy for the 3. So if they're shooting those 3s and they're making them, that's fine. That's going to put points on the board. But when they're missing them, you get those long rebounds and you get those transition points the other way, the way Oregon likes to run with the ball, get it out quick, move it back down to the other end of the floor. I think Oregon's going to easily score in the 80s in this game, and that's going to put us over the total. This would be one where I'm looking at it. I know when I sent you my play this morning what I was using, and you come back and said, it just got smashed. Smashed. The public's going to get out. Don't wait on this one. I think the sharp money is going to come on the over, and it's going to come sooner than later. I don't think Duke can slow Oregon down the way St. Joe's did. St. Joe's does that all the time. You can't suddenly change your stripes late in the season, so to speak. And I just think it's going to be a fast tempo game. I think the total really should be at 160, 161 in this one, and we're getting some benefit with it. And my projection is we're going to get 163 points or more.
I'll say real quick just to add to that, and then Bryan can as well. When you have a team that shoots a lot of 3s, if they make them, it's good for an over. If they miss them, like you said, it's good for an over because you have transition and run outs the other way. So when you have a team that likes to run and then they're going against each other, That's why the Rockets. It's why totals are really high in these cases. But I think the value is coming, like you said, from that St. Joe's game, or even the Yale game ended up going
Right.
under after a huge first half scoring. That ended up going under too. So yeah, I think there is some value in the number as well, and I like the over.
I will say that when you do have a team that shoots a lot of threes and you get them in the underdog role, you could easily get blown out. But if they're hitting these threes, they could pull off the upset. So I like to play those teams on a money line. So if you do like the Duke side, money line may be the way to go there. And Oregon's, I know the styles haven't matched up so far, but they play really good defense. But before we go, I was just going to ask Cheetah if he could tell me what his best bet is. I promise not to tell anybody.
Sure. I'll tell you, it's in the game that's tonight, in the Grand Canyon game.
The Grand Canyon
Yeah,
game
I
tonight?
love it. I have some really good inside information.
These videos will be shown after the Grand Canyon game is played. Are you able to look into the future?
It's a game for Thursday.
All right. Okay, guys. Hey, if you want to get that best bet from Cheetah Boy, what a segue for Cheetah on this one here. We'll save you $10 on it. He won't tell you who it is, but I'll give you $10
there you go.
so you can save it. Use coupon code SWEET in the number 10. Sweet 10, enter it at checkout. You'll save $10 on a package this weekend at wagertalk.com. You can use it on anybody. Well, I guess you might as well go get Cheetah's 5%. He doesn't release a lot of them. Check it out at wagertalk.com. We'll be back with more here at Wager Talk.